In a small and colorful town where birds sang sweet songs and flowers bloomed in every garden, lived a cheerful little girl named Anaya. She had bright eyes, a curious mind, and a heart full of big dreams. Anaya loved to explore the world around her. She asked questions about everything. Why do the stars shine? How do birds fly? Can I build a rocket one day? Her imagination was as big as the sky. Sometimes Anaya would lie on the soft green grass and watch the birds flying high above. She would close her eyes and imagine amazing things. Rockets flying through space, stars glowing in the night, and adventures waiting everywhere. One day, Anaya asked her mother, "Mom, can girls really do anything they dream of?" Her mother smiled warmly and said, "Of course they can, my dear. Girls are strong, brave, and full of wonderful ideas. If you believe in yourself, you can do anything." The next day at school, their teacher made an exciting announcement. "Children," she said with a smile, "tomorrow we will celebrate Women's Day. I want each of you to share a story about a woman who inspires you." Anaya started thinking very carefully. That evening, Anaya looked around her home. She saw her grandmother sharing wise and wonderful stories. She saw her teacher helping children learn new things every day. And she saw her mother working hard and helping everyone with love. Suddenly, Anaya had a beautiful idea. The next day at school, Anaya stood up in front of the class. She took a deep breath and spoke with a bright smile. "My hero is my mother. She teaches me to be kind, to work hard, and to never give up. She tells me that girls can become scientists, doctors, pilots, or anything they dream of." The whole class began to clap happily. That evening, the whole town celebrated Women's Day. There were flowers, colorful decorations, and joyful laughter everywhere. People thanked the wonderful women who made their lives brighter every day. Later that night, Anaya looked up at the shining stars. She whispered softly, "One day, I will follow my dreams and make the world proud." Her mother hugged her gently and said, "You already make the world brighter." And from that day on, everyone in the town remembered something very important. Girls are strong. Girls are brave. Girls can dream big and change the world. Long ago, in a quiet green valley, there flowed a beautiful river. The villagers called it the Whispering River, because when the wind blew gently, the water sounded like it was whispering secrets. One sunny morning, a curious little boy named Arjun walked along the riverbank. Arjun loved adventures. He always wondered, why does the river whisper? Arjun sat beside the sparkling water. The wind moved softly through the trees, and suddenly he heard a tiny voice. "Hello." Arjun looked around in surprise. "Who said that?" he asked. The water shimmered in the sunlight. Then the river whispered again. "It's me, the river." Arjun's eyes grew wide with wonder. "The river can talk?" he whispered. The river rippled gently. "Yes, but only kind hearts can hear me." Arjun sat quietly and listened. The river spoke softly. "I help everyone. I give water to trees, flowers, animals, and people. Birds came to drink. Fish swam happily. Flowers bloomed along the riverbank. But then the river's voice became quiet and sad. Sometimes people throw trash into me. It makes me weak." Arjun looked at the water. He saw the floating trash and felt very sad. Arjun stood up bravely. "Don't worry," he said. "I will help you, and I will tell everyone." The river sparkled softly, as if smiling. The next day, Arjun called all his friends. "Let's clean the river." Together they worked happily. They picked up trash, they planted small trees, they promised to keep the river safe. The river became clear again. The water sparkled brighter than ever. Fish swam joyfully. Birds sang sweet songs, and the valley looked more beautiful than before. One peaceful evening, Arjun sat beside the river. The wind blew gently across the water, and the river whispered again. "Thank you, Arjun. My whispers are happy again." Arjun smiled, and from that day on, whenever the wind touched the river, the villagers said, "The whispering river is telling its story." And maybe, if you listen very carefully, you might hear it too. Moral: nature takes care of us, so we must take care of nature. In a happy little village in India lived a sweet little girl named Tara. Tara loved colors: red like roses, yellow like sunshine, blue like the big, big sky. And tomorrow was her favorite festival, Holi. She clapped her hands with joy. "Yay! Holi is coming!" But that evening, dark clouds slowly filled the sky. The wind blew softly, the trees swayed. Drip, drop. It started to rain. "Oh no," Tara whispered. "What if the rain washes all the colors away?" She felt a little sad. That night, when everything was quiet, Tara saw something sparkle near the old banyan tree. Twinkle, twinkle. A tiny fairy appeared. She had rainbow wings and a soft golden glow. "Hello, Tara," the fairy said gently. "My name is Rangoli." Tara's eyes grew wide. "A fairy?" Rangoli smiled. "Holi is not only about colors on your face," she said softly. She waved her tiny wand. Suddenly, magical pictures floated in the air. Children laughing, families hugging, friends sharing sweets, everyone smiling together. "The real colors," Rangoli said, "are love, kindness, and happiness." Tara smiled slowly. The next morning, it was still raining, but Tara remembered the fairy's words. She stepped outside. Her friends came too. Instead of feeling sad, they started to dance in the rain. Splash! Giggle! Twirl! The colors mixed with the rainwater, making soft rainbow puddles. Everyone laughed louder and louder. Soon, the whole village joined. Drums played, People danced, sweets were shared. The rain didn't stop the fun. It made it even more magical. And then the rain gently stopped. The sun peeked out from behind the clouds, and in the sky, a big, beautiful rainbow appeared. Tara looked up and whispered, "Thank you, Rangoli." She knew now, Holi is not just about bright powders, it is about bright hearts. And from that day on, Tara always remembered, the most beautiful colors are the ones we share. Good morning, little sunshine. Today is a very special day. It is Holi, the festival of colors. In a tiny village, there lived a small white bunny named Bun Bun. He had a soft blue scarf and a tiny pink nose. One morning, Bun Bun heard something. Dole, dole, dole. He opened his eyes wide. Oh, what is that happy sound? He hopped outside slowly, and guess what he saw? His friends! Mimi, the little yellow duck, Toto, the gentle green turtle, and Golu, the playful puppy. They were holding bright, beautiful colors, pink, yellow, and blue. "Happy Holi, Bun Bun!" they cheered. But Bun Bun felt a little shy. "Will the colors hurt?" he asked softly. Toto smiled kindly. "No, Bun Bun. These are soft, natural colors. They are safe and gentle." Mimi came closer. Very gently, she tapped pink color on Bun Bun's tiny nose. Tap! Oh my! His nose turned bright pink. Everyone giggled. Bun Bun blinked. Then he smiled big. He picked up some green color and very softly, tap, he colored Golu's floppy ear. Now Golu had one green ear. The friends laughed and laughed. Soon there was yellow on cheeks, blue on wings, pink on paws. The garden looked like a rainbow. They danced around the big mango tree. Splash! Tiny water balloons popped gently. Ha, ha, ha! Happy giggles filled the air. After playing, they all sat down together. Bun Bun's mama brought sweet gujias and warm milk. The friends shared and smiled. Bun Bun looked at everyone. "Holi is not just about colors," he said. "It is about sharing, caring, and happy hearts." The sun slowly went down. The sky turned orange and pink, just like Holi colors in the sky. The little friends hugged goodbye. They went home sleepy, colorful, and very, very happy. Happy Holi, little one. Sweet dreams. Once upon a time, in a small blue pond, lived a tiny yellow duck. Her name was Mimi. Mimi was the smallest duck in her whole family. She had soft, fluffy feathers and the tiniest orange feet. But Mimi had a little problem. She was scared of the water. Yes, a duck who was scared of water. Every morning, Mama Duck and the other ducklings jumped into the pond. Splash, splash, splash. They swam in circles. They dipped their heads. They wiggled their tails. But Mimi stayed on the grass. "I don't like big splashes," she whispered. One day, a little green frog named Flip hopped beside her. "Ribbit, why are you sad?" asked Flip. "I'm scared of the water," said Mimi softly. Flip smiled. "Then don't make a big splash," he said. "Make a little ripple." Flip dipped one tiny toe into the water. Blip! A small circle formed. "That's it?" Mimi asked. "That's it," said Flip. Mimi took a deep breath. She stretched one tiny foot and touched the water. Blip! Oh, the water wasn't loud. It wasn't scary. It was cool and soft. Mimi giggled. She put in her other foot. Blip! Blip! Tiny waves tickled her toes. Mimi smiled. She took one more tiny step, and suddenly she was floating. Mama Duck smiled proudly. The other ducklings cheered. "Mimi is swimming! Mimi is swimming!" Mimi paddled her tiny feet. Splash! This time it was a happy splash. That evening, as the sun went down, Mimi rested beside Mama Duck. "Were you scared today?" Mama asked gently. "A little," Mimi said, "but I took tiny steps." Mama smiled. Tiny steps make big courage. Mimi closed her eyes and dreamed of tomorrow's splashes. And from that day on, whenever something felt big and scary, Mimi remembered, just make a little ripple first. In a quiet little village surrounded by green fields and a sparkling river stood a giant old banyan tree. The children called it Grandpa Tree. Its branches stretched wide like loving arms, and its roots hung down like long swaying ropes. When the wind blew gently, its leaves seemed to whisper secrets. Every afternoon, 4 best friends played beneath its shade. Erev, brave and energetic; Mira, kind and gentle; Kabir, playful and funny; and little Tara, curious and full of wonder. Their laughter filled the air, and the old tree listened quietly. One day, while hiding behind the thick trunk, Tara heard something unusual, a soft voice. "Thank you." She looked around. No one was there. The leaves shimmered in the sunlight. "Thank you for laughing under my shade." Tara placed her tiny hand on the tree and smiled. The next day, Mira brought water for a thirsty puppy. She kept the bowl under the tree's cool shade. Suddenly, the leaves rustled. Kindness makes the world cooler. Mira's eyes widened. This time, Erev and Kabir heard it too. The tree glowed softly with golden light. Good hearts hear clearly. The children stood together, amazed. The banyan tree wasn't just a tree. It spoke to kind hearts. That evening, dark clouds covered the sky. Thunder roared. Rain poured heavily. The mighty banyan tree stood strong, but one large branch broke and fell. The children watched from their homes, feeling worried. The next morning, they ran to the playground. The fallen branch lay on the wet ground. Erev looked sad. "It protected us for so long." Tara gently touched the trunk. "We should help Grandpa Tree." So they cleaned the fallen branches, they planted small flowers, they removed plastic and stones from the roots. Day after day, they cared for the old tree with love. Slowly, tiny green leaves began to grow again. A warm evening, as the sun painted the sky orange, the children heard it clearly. Love makes roots stronger. They smiled. The tree's leaves shimmered like golden stars. Years passed. The children grew taller, but they never forgot the whispering banyan tree, because they had learned something magical. When we care for nature, nature cares for us. And if you listen carefully with a kind heart, you might hear the world whisper too. In a tiny, colorful town called Tick-Tock Valley, where cobblestone streets sparkled in the morning sun and flower baskets swayed gently in the breeze, there stood a tall, old clock tower. The tower had watched over the town for many, many years, and inside that tower lived a very special little clock. His name was Tico. Tico was small and round, with a shiny golden frame and a bright blue face that gleamed in the light. Every single day, Tico did what he was made to do. Tick-tock, tick-tock. He kept perfect time. He never missed a second. But deep inside, Tico had a secret wish. Every evening, as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, music would float through the town square. Musicians played cheerful tunes. Children laughed and twirled. Shopkeepers clapped their hands in rhythm. From high up inside the tower window, Tico watched. His golden hands would slow just a tiny bit as he whispered softly, "Oh, how I wish I could move like that. Not just tick, but twirl." But clocks weren't meant to dance, or so everyone believed. Then, one night, everything changed. Dark clouds rolled over Tick-Tock Valley. The wind howled. The rain poured. Whoosh! The old clock tower trembled. Inside, Tico's gears rattled nervously. Suddenly, snap! A tiny golden spring inside Tico popped loose. "Oh dear!" Tico gasped. For a moment, everything went still. But then, something magical happened. Instead of stopping, Tico's minute hand wiggled. His hour hand spun in a tiny circle. His pendulum swayed left and right, like it was listening to music only it could hear. "I'm moving," Tico laughed. "I'm dancing." Round and round he twirled. Left and right he swayed. For the first time in his life, Tico wasn't just keeping time. He was feeling it. The next morning, the sun rose bright and golden. The townspeople gathered in the square. The baker shaded his eyes. The shopkeeper pointed upward. And a little girl named Mira, wearing her pink polka dot dress, gasped in surprise. "Look!" she shouted. Up in the tower, Tico's hands were spinning joyfully. The clock chimed. Ding, ding. And as it chimed, Tico twirled beautifully in rhythm. Left, right, spin. Left, right, spin. For a moment, the town was silent. Then, Mira began to clap. Slowly at first. Clap, clap. Soon others joined in. The musicians lifted their instruments. Music filled the air. And just like that, the whole town began to dance. That evening became known as the Sunset Spin. Every day at sunset, Tico would keep perfect time, and then he would dance. Visitors traveled from far-away places just to see the magical dancing clock. Even the old clockmaker came to the tower with his toolbox in hand. He examined the loose spring carefully. He watched the smiling children below. He listened to the joyful music. And then he smiled. "Well," he said softly, "maybe this clock isn't broken after all." Gently, he adjusted the spring, not to stop the dancing, but to make it smooth and steady. From that day forward, Tico did two things beautifully. He kept perfect time, and he danced with all his heart. Because Tico discovered something very important. You can do what you're meant to do and still find your own special rhythm. And every evening in Tick-Tock Valley, as the sky turns gold, if you listen closely, you might just hear tick, twirl, tick, twirl. Moral: it's okay to be different. Sometimes your unique twist is what makes the world smile. In a soft, happy meadow, under a bright blue sky, lived a tiny white bunny named Bobo. Bobo loved to bounce. Bounce, bounce, hop, hop, boing, boing. All day long, Bobo bounced everywhere. One sunny morning, Bobo saw something shiny in the grass. His little nose went twitch, twitch. What's that? He wondered. Boing! It was a little red ball. Oh, giggled Bobo, a bouncing friend. He pushed the ball gently. Boing, boing, boing. The ball bounced away. The ball rolled near a slow little turtle named Tinku. Hello, said Tinku, very slowly. Why are you bouncing so fast? Because bouncing is fun, laughed Bobo. Tinku smiled kindly. Slow can be fun too. Bobo tried walking slowly. Step, step, step. It felt calm and quiet. Suddenly, boing! The red ball bounced high into the sky. Up, up, up it went. A tiny bluebird named Mimi swooped down. Catch! Chirped Mimi happily. Bobo's eyes grew big. You fly, I bounce, he said. And I walk, said Tinku thoughtfully. The three friends giggled together. Then, drip, drop, drip, drop, rain began to fall. Bobo felt a tiny bit scared, but Tinku said gently, Come under my shell. Mimi fluttered close. The three friends stayed warm and cozy together. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. Soon, the rain stopped, and across the sky, a beautiful rainbow appeared. Wow, whispered Bobo. Slow is nice, said Tinku. Flying is fun, chirped Mimi. Friends are the best, smiled Bobo, and together they went home. Bounce, bounce, step, step, flap, flap. And from that day on, Bobo learned that everyone is different, and that's what makes friendship so special. In a colorful little town called Brightville, where rooftops shimmered in the sunshine and laughter danced through the streets, there stood a tiny workshop at the end of Rainbow Lane. No one knew when it appeared, no one knew who built it, but every child who walked past it felt something glow inside their heart. Above the door hung a sparkling rainbow sign. It read, The Wonder Spark Club. One golden afternoon, a curious 8-year-old girl named Mira stopped in front of that glowing door. She wasn't the loudest in class, she wasn't the fastest runner, and she didn't think she was special. But that day, something felt different. The door was slightly open, warm golden light spilled out, and tiny sparkles floated in the air. Mira took a deep breath and stepped inside. The room shimmered with floating lights, blue, pink, green, golden, like tiny stars dancing in the sky. Mira's eyes widened. "Hello?" she whispered. Suddenly, a small glowing orb floated in front of her. It shimmered with golden light and left tiny rainbow trails behind. "I've been waiting for you, Mira," the orb said gently. "My name is Sparkle." Mira blinked in surprise. "Waiting for me?" Sparkle twirled happily. "Yes, because every child has a wonder spark, and today you will discover yours." The room transformed. 5 glowing doors appeared in the air. a paintbrush, a music note, a gear, a book, a leaf. Each door, Sparkle said softly, leads to a different spark. Mira looked at the glowing paintbrush and felt her heart skip. She stepped forward and opened the door. Suddenly, she was standing in a sky of floating canvases. Clouds shimmered with color, paint swirled in the air like fireworks. Mira lifted her hand, and colors burst from her fingertips. Red, blue, yellow, green. She painted a rainbow dragon in the sky, and it came alive, smiling at her. Mira laughed with joy. "I made that!" Sparkle floated beside her. "You create happiness," Sparkle said. "That is your wonder spark." A tiny rainbow light formed in Mira's hands. It glowed warmly against her heart. For the first time, Mira felt special. Soon, other children arrived. Arjun discovered he could build amazing things that helped people. Lila found stories inside her imagination that made everyone smile. Kabir realized his kindness could heal even the saddest hearts. Each child held a different glowing spark, different colors, different gifts, different magic. And that's when they learned something important. No two sparks are the same, and that is what makes them powerful. But one morning, Brightville began to change. The sky turned gray, flowers lost their colors, the town felt quiet and dull. The children rushed to the workshop. Sparkle floated softly before them. "Brightville needs your sparks," she said. Mira looked at her friends. "Let's shine together." They joined hands in the center of town. Their sparks began to glow brighter and brighter and brighter until a giant rainbow beam of light shot into the sky. Colors spread across rooftops, flowers bloomed again, the sky turned a brilliant blue. Brightville sparkled brighter than ever before. The children laughed with joy. Sparkle hovered above them, glowing warmly. "You see," Sparkle said gently, "a wonder spark grows brighter when you share it." Mira looked at her rainbow spark. She no longer wondered if she was special. She knew. Because inside every child, there is a spark waiting to shine. And when you believe in it, you can light up the world. Soft music swells, magical chimes fade out, and that is the magic of the Wonder Spark Club. In a small, colorful village, surrounded by golden fields and rolling green hills, there lived a little kite named Kiki. Kiki was not the biggest kite in the sky. She wasn't the brightest, and she certainly wasn't the strongest. Every afternoon, children would run into the fields, laughing as their kites soared high above the village. Red kites, blue kites, yellow kites dancing boldly in the wind. But Kiki often struggled to rise. Sometimes she would dip too low. Sometimes she would spin the wrong way. And sometimes she would simply land softly back on the grass. "I wish I could fly higher," she would whisper to the clouds. One gentle afternoon, a soft breeze began to move across the fields. It wasn't loud, it wasn't powerful, it was quiet, calm, almost shy. "Hello," the breeze whispered. Kiki looked around. "Who said that?" "It's me," said the wind. "I may not be strong, but I can help you." Kiki felt unsure. How can such a tiny breeze help me fly? The wind swirled gently around her ribbons. "Not all strength is loud," it said softly. The children lifted their kites once more. The sky filled with color. Kiki felt her string tighten. The soft breeze lifted her gently. "Trust me," whispered the wind. Kiki closed her eyes, and instead of fighting the wind, she relaxed her paper wings. The wind guided her left, then right, then slowly upward. She wasn't rushing, she wasn't racing, she was dancing. Slowly, steadily, beautifully, Kiki began to rise, higher and higher. The other kites noticed. "Look at Kiki," they seemed to say. She wasn't the highest in the sky, but she was the most graceful. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of gold, pink, and orange, Kiki floated peacefully against the glowing clouds. "You see," whispered the wind, "you don't need to be the strongest, you just need to listen and believe." And for the first time, Kiki felt proud. From that day on, whenever the soft wind returned, Kiki would rise, not with force, but with courage. Soft music swells, gentle wind fades, and high above the little village, a small pink kite danced with the whispering wind, reminding everyone that quiet strength can help you soar.